All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the On-Site Podcast. We had a fire intro with that countdown. Shout out to StreamYard. Feel like I was in a team meeting at work or something. Yeah, but today we're gonna be just discussing we going into week 4 of the NFL season, what we think about some of these teams, and we're referencing PFT's power rankings for this season. And there's a lot of teams that are surprising with their records. We got some 3-0 teams up there, some 0-3 teams. But what are you guys thoughts about how everything's going and playing out so far this season?
I can start off. First off, this season is absolutely crazy. I'm loving that we don't really know what's really going on with every week matchups. For example, the 6-point underdog trend that's been happening. They've been just flat out winning the games. I think they were at 13-2 right now. So it's fun. It's fun to see. I like it.
Yeah, yeah, and just like you're saying, it's been surprising to me because I've thought like a lot of games should have been way more one-sided. Like you have Carolina beating the Raiders, then you have the Raiders beating like who they play again?
Baltimore.
It was
Baltimore.
Baltimore. They beat Baltimore, and then you have the Cowboys getting their ass whooped. Like, and you have Daniel Jones playing good all of a sudden. Like,
Yeah,
I was not expecting any of this.
I feel like the narratives are definitely changing week by week. You have, 1 week Daniel Jones is the worst quarterback of all time. The next week he's looking good, and this team might have a shot at making the playoffs or something. But yeah, it's definitely been a season of tales or different storylines. But we'll start off with you, Trev. Who's one or what team in the NFL is or has the most surprising record to you right now? Like, what teams kind of just put themselves on the map or something?
For me personally, right now, it's the Minnesota Vikings. I mean, they're just blowing my mind with how good their offense is looking right now. I mean, honestly, it's looking better than they did with Kirk. I'm really surprised, especially with Sam Darnold. You were preaching to me all off season that he was good, and it's really cool to see them actually going crazy now.
And what about you, Brett?
I would have to go. I would say the Steelers, but I expected it. Hey, it's an easy schedule. The first half is an easy schedule. I'll admit that. So I'll have to go with the Bills, considering how their whole team pretty much got gutted out. They cut players, they let people go, and traded players away at the end of the season and throughout season. I was not expecting their team to be as good as they are. Like you have their DBs were all backups last year, and now they're all
Yeah.
starters performing way better than their defense did last year. You have DeMar Hamlin catching a pick. I don't think anyone was expecting that. And then I'll be surprised. Josh Allen, he's not turning over the ball. He's being in control. They're running the ball efficiently. They're using James Cook amazing, and I feel like they're equally distributing the ball to all their receivers and tight ends. So
Yeah,
that's a team that's really surprised me.
I think definitely they look like they're having fun, and then they're all like in sync, and then it's just like spreading the love around, taking shots at Diggs still. But yeah, for me, I think a surprising team is definitely the Cincinnati Bengals. Going 0-3 so far in the first 3 weeks. I knew they usually start off slow, but to not win a game in the first 3 weeks is something that's definitely been surprising to me. But they have been a little bit banged up. T barely just came back, but still, I don't know. Some of these losses are just pretty bad. They didn't get to come back and win or close the door when they needed to. So that's a surprising team to me. And it's just like to Trevor's point, I think this is just like a crazy season so far. Like Bucks are ahead of Texans in power rankings. Like that's wild. Who would have had that, bro? Who would have had the Steelers up there being 3-0, leading the division? Like it's
do
just
you
crazy.
guys
Hey, I told you. I have it.
do you guys think that it's gonna continue throughout the whole season with these like crazy upsets and things like that, or do you think it'll just settle out like as the weeks go on?
I'll let you handle that one, right?
I think I think it will continue, and I feel like a lot of teams are still trying to find their identity, and teams are trying to figure out what's wrong and trying to fix it. Like the Raiders, you have Antonio Pierce saying players are making business decisions, so obviously there's players there that are worried about themselves. Which, as a player, you should be, but at the same time, like if you can make a play, you should still do that. Then you have the Bengals, like they got to figure out what's going on there. Like their defense gave away the game yesterday. So they need to play better. And
Yep.
then the Ravens, who they really needed that win against the Cowboys, because if not, people would have been again like they would have been 0-3. It would not have been good for them.
Yeah, I think I kind of hope there's still a little bit like an element of surprise like for the rest of the season, but we're kind of like seeing already like who's the good teams. Like I think by week like 5 we'll really know like who's gonna be in the playoffs and who's not and who's just terrible because like even like the Panthers, for example, they look completely different with Andy Dalton, and like those first 2 weeks with Bryce Young, they played like shit. Now week 3, they look like they could even make the playoffs if they go on a run or
Dude.
something crazy. Like
Yeah.
I don't know. I kind of like this
That's
element of surprise, but we'll see.
that's credit
Do
to
you
Andy Dalton, dude. This guy, I mean, he's a vet. I mean, he's been in the AFC North in the 2010s when that was an absolute juggernaut of a division. So I mean, yeah, credit to Andy Dalton.
I feel bad for Bryce because of just because them doing that experiment kind of saying like, hey, we're gonna roll with Andy Dalton. In my mind, I feel like it was a way for them to see, is the problem our team or is the problem Bryce? And he might be being used as a scapegoat now. Like obviously there's other problems with the team, but right now people are gonna look at it like, hey, it's not the team's fault, it's more Bryce's fault. And that might that might turn into maybe another Zach Wilson situation where he loses his confidence, doesn't know how to play when he has to start, like things like that can spiral him even further down.
Yeah, one thing I don't get, bro, is like how do the Panthers 1 week or the first 2 weeks have no weapons, have a shitty team, have nothing, and then when Andy Dalton comes in, they have weapons now. All of a sudden, they have a decent team. It's like the narratives, to our point, like going back to what we were talking about, like are just changing like crazy.